Lads, lasses and the rest of the masses, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mono from Mono CFC and these are 5 strikers Mauricio Pochettino could sign for Chelsea Football Club. Number 1. Rasmus Højlund. To start off, let's talk about the impressive young Dane, Rasmus Højlund. The 20-year-old has been making a splash this season, appearing 42 times and amassing 16 goals and 7 assists in all competitions, but also famously scoring 5 international goals in 2 games for Denmark as well. The 2021-22 Superliga champion is emerging as an exciting young talent. 23 goals and assists in 42 games is no small feat for a youngster, especially considering his lower amount of minutes in comparison to other players in his position. He's only played 1,800 minutes this season. To put that into perspective, Kai Havertz has played well over 3,000 and has only played 5 more games. If we take a look at his stats in comparison to other strikers in the top 5 leagues, we can see that he has some pretty average numbers all around, with his most impressive being that he's in the 99th percentile for progressive passes received, 93rd for touches in the opposing penalty area, 84th for expected non-penalty goals, and 83rd for successful take-ons. Though these stats don't look too great, they are slightly misleading and don't show off his main strengths. He's a pacey, powerful runner with good finishing and is surprisingly technically gifted with the ball at his feet for a big man. He's excellent at being in the right place at the right time too, with him seemingly always knowing which run to make in the box, which is something Chelsea have lacked for a long time. He reminds me a lot of Diego Costa with his tenacious will to keep the ball and go forward. Or, to make a slightly better comparison, he looks to me like a more green version of Erling Haaland. He's still slightly rough around the edges, as you would expect from a youngster playing in a top 5 league for the first time, and he'll only get better as time goes on. With his value sitting at around 35 to 45 million, he could be a smart investment for the present and the future. Number 2. Gonçalo Ramos. Next up is the Portuguese revelation Gonçalo Ramos. Playing in the Primeira Liga, the young striker has lit up the league, scoring 27 times and amassing 12 assists in 47 appearances in all competitions, a mightily impressive tally for a 21-year-old. If we take a look at his stats, his strengths and weaknesses become glaringly obvious. He's in the 99th percentile for non-penalty goals and expected goals, 95th for total shots, 98th for non-penalty expected goals and assists, and 91st for touches in the opposing penalty area. He is a pure finisher and not much else. A lot of his goals look like tap-ins, but the reason he makes these goals look so easy is with his excellent movement. Like Højlund, he also knows where to be and when to be there, and gets on the end of almost every cutback. Not only this, but he is excellent at sniffing out where a ball might drop to, scoring many goals from rebounds. There's no denying that he's a phenomenal striker for his age, but my concerns are with his other stats. He's only in the 17th percentile for shot creating actions, rarely completes a pass, and is rather selfish on the ball from what I've seen. I feel like Chelsea need a striker that is willing to do more than just score. We need an all-rounder who can lead the line. That being said, our main woes have been with scoring the multitude of chances we create every game, and Ramos could be the missing piece to that puzzle. Unfortunately, Benfica are unlikely to part with him, considering his excellent form for them, and his release clause is an astonishing 120 million euros, which is far too much for a gamble on a youngster in my opinion. You there, watching this video right now, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Around 98% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, and you can help reduce that number. We're so close to 3k subs, so let's get over that line. It's totally free and helps support me and my content. Much love, let's get back to the video. Number 3. Dusan Vlahovic. Dusan Vlahovic is another striker that has been in the conversation for Chelsea recently, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not sure why. Usually during these lists I do my best to try and find value in a player and analyse them in a positive way, but I simply cannot do that for Vlahovic. The Serbian international has only scored 14 times and got 3 assists for Juventus this season, a rather average return from his 42 appearances. I'm going to show you his stats because I think they paint a rather obvious picture. As a Chelsea fan, I can't look at these stats and feel like he's worth his ridiculously high price tag, I just can't. Usually I'd point out a player's redeeming qualities even if some of their stats aren't the best, but there just aren't any redeeming stats here. Vlahovic is touted as a supposedly good finisher, but you can see from what's on screen that that can't be further from the truth. The argument I've always heard was, Vlahovic is great, he just needs service. But his expected non-penalty goals are one of his highest stats here, and in comparison to his actual conversion rate, it's pretty poor. I thought to myself that maybe he'd be good at holding up the ball and being a target man, which isn't represented with these stats, but once again, his passing is mediocre, he doesn't carry or progress the ball up the pitch, and from what I've watched of him, he isn't that great with his back to goal, which is almost a requirement of playing in the Premier League these days. There were people saying that Vlahovic is a better option than Osimhen, who I've touched on in the past as a potential signing, but just look at the difference here, it's staggering. They both play in the same league, and Juve arguably have the better players around him, but he just pales in comparison to Osimhen, and this isn't even the first season he's been bad either. Last season he was ridiculously even worse than he was this season, which is saying something. I'm flabbergasted that people think that he'd do well at Chelsea, especially considering he'd get even less service and less chances in the Premier League. He is still young, and I'm sure he'll eventually become a great striker and get back some of that purple-shirted form he had at Fiorentina, but at the moment it's a no from me. I don't think he's even the best striker Serbia have to offer. Number 4. Aleksandar Mitrovic. The better of the two Serbian strikers on this list, Aleksandar Mitrovic has had a good season for Fulham this season, picking up where he left off in the Championship for the South West London side. He racked up 15 goals and 4 assists in only 28 appearances for the black and white outfit this season, surpassing the previously mentioned Vlahovic in 14 less games in a much tougher league for a much worse team. And he wasn't just scoring against the lesser teams either. Mitrovic bagged goals against Liverpool, Man United, Tottenham and Arsenal in the process. The 28-year-old is a throwback to the target men of old, always a nuisance in the box, strong and a good finisher too. If we take a look at his stats, his main attributes shine pretty clearly. He gets a lot of shots off, he wins his headers, and he gets the majority of his touches in the opposing penalty area. Now these stats aren't the greatest, I'm not going to pretend that they are, but it's still incredibly impressive considering the team he's playing for. He doesn't get the service as shown by his low 59th percentile for expected goals and low 9th for progressive passes received, but he is still scoring fairly consistently, outperforming those expected goals by a large margin. Though I don't believe he would be the best option for Chelsea due to his rather one-dimensional playing style, if we had to take a cheaper option, I think he'd be the one to get. He'd only improve with better players around him too, and is by far a better choice than Vlahovic, at least for the short term. And number 5, Lautaro Martinez. Despite not winning the Champions League with Inter, another option for Chelsea is one that is admired by Mauricio Pochettino, fellow Argentinian Lautaro Martinez. Another striker from the Italian First Division, Martinez has been in phenomenal form this season, scoring 28 goals and assisting his teammates 6 times. He has looked world class in the 57 appearances he has made for Inter this season in all competitions. Strong and hard to dispossess due to his great balance and low centre of gravity, Martinez is fantastic on the turn and is a formidable forward. Great with both feet and able to create chances with his back to goal or running onto through balls, he poses an immense amount of threat in and around the penalty area. But don't just take my word for it, look at his stats, green across the board. He outperforms most forwards in the top 5 leagues in non-penalty goals, assists, shot creating actions, progressive passes and even chipping in defensively too by winning the ball back more often than not for a forward. He's no doubt a phenomenal striker, but I do have some issues to point out. Firstly, he's predominantly played as a second striker, not as the main 9. Chelsea are likely to set up in a 4-2-3-1 formation under Pochettino this season, and I'm just not quite sure where he fits in that formation. Can he play as a lone 9? Possibly, but I feel he plays at his best when paired with a top target man, like he has been with Edin Dzeko, and sometimes Romelu Lukaku. The next issue is his price tag. He's going to cost an unholy amount of dosh to sign. He's valued at 80 million, but that could easily rise up to upwards of 100 million plus if Inter really want to keep a hold of him. I do believe Chelsea need to fork out some big money to get in the right striker, but with that question of can he play as a lone striker in the Premier League looming over him, I'm not sure he's the right one to splash that amount of cash on. That being said, I always believe that signing should be in line with what the manager wants, and the board should also do their best to back the manager's choices, so I will have zero complaints if Mauricio Pochettino gets his man this summer. But those were just a few alternative strikers that we could buy this upcoming transfer window, and that was my list. Let me know who you think is the best option out of these in the comment section below, and if you'd be so kind, subscribe to the channel and leave the video a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a video from me. I've been Mono from Mono CFC, and remember, in the rain or in the dry, keep that blue flag flying high. Come on, you Blues.